Hello, everyone. My name is Arnaud St. Paul. And hello. And today we're going to talk about illusion. Illusion is such an important concept. I want to take the time to go over it together, because if we can start to open up to the potential, to the possibility that illusion is actually something that we want to take into account in our experience of what we call reality in our day-to-day life, we are going to make strides in growing ourselves, growing our company, growing our lives, and getting more and more into alignment and harmony with ourselves. So the question is, are you ready to consider that and look into it further? Let's see what it means, and let's see how we can live it in a different way. So, illusion. First, what is WHOS? First, change. So the purpose of WHOS is to change your world, getting support every week. So for any change maker in the world, for any entrepreneur, any person that is a creator, we have created this series of sessions to help them really play with the clay of life. That's what I was looking for. And we do that by revisiting core concepts of reality, guided by the framework that I created in the past 30 years called the Heartful Method. And we are here to help you and serve you to create a more symphonic you, a business that is into living its own harmony, its own symphony. So whether your personal life or your business can live more easily, more into harmony with itself. After this, you can join us to a Q&A called where you just scan this QR code, key in on your browser, tapwhat.com/whosfree, and then we can have this conversation. So let's start with the actual important stuff. The definition of illusion, according to the dictionary, it's a thing that is or is likely to be wrongly perceived or interpreted by the senses. It's also a deceptive appearance or impression, or a false idea or belief. The question is, what if your perception of your reality is filled with illusion? And that's what we're going to explore together. A bit like this painting we have here on the right-hand side, where what I see in the mirror is a bit different from what I am, right? So let's dive deeper into that. As you can see here on that bridge, it is reflecting the trees above, but which is exactly the actual right version? Is it the actual physical tree or the image? It's a question, right? And this Ernest Holmes, who was an author 100 years ago, was mentioning life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. Quite interesting thought here, where it states that anything that I can think, feel, or be is actually going to be reflected in my day-to-day. So in other words, if I feel or I think that, let's say, some type of people, whether they are men or women, are abusive by nature, I will, for a fact, have that reflection happen in my life, which is quite powerful, isn't it? So that means that anything that happens in my life is an illusion. It is something that I falsely understand as true, but it's actually a consequence of what I feel inside myself or what I think. So in other words, you are becoming the observer of your truth through reality. And that leads us to this concept of holograms. Holograms is quite an interesting type of image. It's a 3D or even a 4D image that which contains the image of the whole object. And so you can cut off a corner of the hologram and see the entire image through it. In other words, what happens there is that if I take a little bit of this hologram here, I'm going to be able to see the image, but from a slightly different angle. It's an image that I can see from a different angle. It's like each moment brings me to a slightly different angle of the image of me, or through reality in this case. And we can have n number of angles. It's infinite, thanks to the hologram. And what scientists claim is that the universe is a hologram, which obviously changes the scene completely, of course. So very interesting thoughts that brings us to a direct application to our day-to-day. We may be indeed, we have this 3D image of ourselves that is traveling through time in this 4D expression of ourselves. Maybe we actually are a 12D hologram and we're visiting every single aspect of it throughout this lifetime and others maybe. Maybe. But, it's just a potential in this case. There's no scientific proof of that. Doesn't matter. What matters is your experience. And in your experience, what we do know is that, well, through time, you are actually looking at a different angle of yourself. This is a truth, right? Maybe it's a hologram, maybe it's a 12D hologram. The bottom line is you are the common denominator across all your different experiences. And that image of you is actually changing across time, right? This is what is about being human. So what you are doing is really to go through time and having this sense of reality with these objects and people that are around you. And they are all looking at you. They are all reverting your image of yourself, in other words. And by doing so, you are able to grow if you choose to, if you have awareness of that process. The image you are seeing in the others is just a tiny aspect of who you are. It's an elusive aspect of you. And the seed is always in your own heart. Another way to show it to you is this one. You have that infinite dance between I and self. However, for I to exist at first, it needs one box, it needs two boxes, it needs three boxes to be able to create these walls of identification that creates that context of separation with the others. For that separation to happen, we need these walls, and then at some point it is time for us to let go of these walls, because what happens here is that we are living through the illusion of these walls. In other words, whichever belief is printed on this wall is going to be reflecting in my reality. In other words, if this wall is about abusive people, for instance, as I mentioned earlier, this is what I'm going to live. The moment I'm letting go of this wall, this does not exist anymore. And this wall, and this wall. And all of a sudden, I am free to dance with all the aspects of myself, completely open to it. So how do I do that? Well, your life is your mirror. It has a purpose. The flow of events and situations in which you are always there to bring you a step closer to yourself, if you listen intently. and if you open your heart to that possibility. At first, you state, this reality, it's not me, it's completely separate from me. And it is okay, and you can do that. It's the I with all the walls. The thing is, at some point, if you want to really unstuck yourself from wherever you are, it is time to open your heart. And to open your heart, you use the contrast that reality provides to you to open up to a new aspect of yourself. In other words, if you are here having this relationship with your reality, you can now go there to open up to a new type of relationship with your reality. And that new type is opening to who you really are, which is that infinite heart, amazing love that starts to encompass everything that is around it. In other words, that reality we were saying is not me at first, it is a reflection of me. It is a small description, a snippet of this aspect of me right now. And by doing so, I am opening up to an ongoing path, guided path of growth, of prosperity, and abundance in all aspects of our lives. Then the question is, do we want, are we ready to really open our heart up and enable this to be and happen in our reality? Are we open to explore the seed we have in ourselves, to trust that truth that is in ourselves, and enter into a dance with our reality, with our day-to-day life, to see what works, what doesn't, to play with the clay of life, as I was saying at the beginning? That's the question of the day. And you may want to explore further and see what it makes you feel and think. And please share it in the comments of this live event. Now, if you want to close your eyes, and we're going to read the poem about illusion so that you can feel what it means to you. Take a deep breath. Apparent vision of an elusive reality. So clear reflection of who I believe to be. Object of transcendence. Absolute contrast. Conventions to blast. Away from present stance. But do not forget that in that I to be is the seed I bet on to become who I am to be. Such is the illusion, pathway to my oblivion, source of the fusion to my dream. So in this poem, we're exploring the same concepts, that what seems to be real is but a reflection. And it is the object, and it is its only objective for you to transcend it, for you to go beyond it and accepting its other aspects, its symbol, and what it actually, it can express other things if you choose to. And that contrast is at first expressing your social conventions, your education, etc., your beliefs, keeping you away from your present moment. And once you decide to move beyond it, once you at the same time accept that that little spark that is in you is also the seed of what it is that you want to become, then all of a sudden you feel guided and nurtured and moved, supported towards the actual manifestation of your dream. This poem comes from my book, I is Born. And if you want to find it, it's on tapwhat.com/I. Now is the live Q&A. So if you want to join us, please join us on tapwhat.com/who's free. And we shall continue the conversation now. Have an amazing day.